Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. I'm here with Chris for another day after debrief. It is the day after the game yesterday, the 1-0 win over Rangers at Hampden to secure Celtic's place in the Scottish Cup final on June the 3rd against Inverness. Chris, we did this after the 3-2 game. The viewers seem to love it, so we're back for another one today. We're going to run through all the fallout from yesterday, the standout moments. We'll get Chris reflecting on the game as well, and then we'll do some player ratings. This is a live format. You can get involved in the live chat box, but you have to be subscribed to do so. So if you're not subscribed, click the red subscribe button below, and we'll pick out good comments and questions as we go through, as we always do. Chris, I'm just decompressing after the stress of yesterday. There's a comment in already saying I look a bit bleary-eyed. Sober as a judge yesterday, by the way. I did feel hungover though. Alcohol-free beers. Because
it's an emotional hangover.
Aye, I had the car yesterday, so I'm not as hungover as I look. Just emotionally drained, but what a brilliant victory. A brilliant day. I mean, what are your reflections for the game to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were very lucky again, Paul, very lucky to come out on top. Like, honestly, that narrative is just so old. Not as old as their new club, which was formed in 2012, but no, absolutely delighted. I felt we deserved to win the game. Don't get me wrong. As we predicted, it was another close final. Mostly close semi-final, pardon me. But generally that's what these games are, right? I mean, in the League Cup final a few weeks back, it was 2-1, but we were by far the better team. I felt it was a closer game yesterday, if I'm going to be objective, but I still felt that we were going to find a way, and very reminiscent. Yesterday's game for me, Paul, was very similar to the 2-1 game at Ibrox last year, where we sealed the league title, essentially, giving us a 6-point lead with only a handful of games to go. We scored at a fantastic time in the game. I actually felt like we scored when we had our best spell. You could feel a bit of momentum building in that. From about the 30-minute mark on, we really started to impose ourselves on the game. And like our captain said, like, two of the main principles that this team is predicated on, which is very quick off restarts, counter press, take advantage of a mistake from your opponent. And that's how we scored the goal. It's not our fault 7 Rangers players switched off.
Stop playing. Mm-hmm.
Stop playing. Like, what is Ryan Kent doing? Running in the wrong direction, like, honestly. So scored at a fantastic time, and in the second half really showed that we can, as much as our football most often, Paul, will bring us sustained periods of possession and it's very attractive on the eye. Sometimes you just have to win a game by defending right. And I really felt yesterday in that second 45 minutes, barring the post that Tavernier hits, and because Fashion Sakala couldn't hit a barn door with a beach ball, we came out on top. But the defending was fantastic. Like, I don't know what Cameron Carter-Vickers has been fending off for the last couple of weeks.
A knee injury, we think.
Right, so my guess might be he might have a tear in his meniscus, or his cartilage needs, tidied up, something like that. But what an absolute warrior. And I'm really pleased that Callum gave Starfelt a shout out yesterday, because I actually thought he was tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And as a unit, that back four, along with Joe Hart, who I thought really commanded his box, the best I've seen him do it, to be completely honest, was really the key to victory in what was a tightly contested semi-final. But just over the moon, and Ange's reaction afterwards, you could just tell how much that one meant to him. And he knows the position it puts us in. We got 5 league games to go. We only need 1 point. we know we're going to be league champions. And then where you want to be at the end of the season is June 3rd, Scottish Cup final with a chance to seal our 5th treble in 8 years and set a world record 8th treble. Bring it on.
Incredible. It's interesting you make the point about Angie and how much it meant to him, because he did give it a bit extra in the celebrations going round the pitch to the support, and I think it is important to him. I think obviously it's important to everybody, to us all, to win yesterday and to try and go forward and seal a treble. But I think for him, he wants to be in there with those managers that have won trebles. And just to clear up the mistake we made in yesterday's video, by the way, some confusion around how many Celtic managers have won a treble. It is 4. Ange would be the 5th. It's Steen, O'Neill, Rodgers, and Lennon. I genuinely totally forgot that Neil Lennon won a treble of his own because it finished during COVID, and I've deleted COVID football from my memory just about successfully. So it is 4. Ange would be the 5th. And what an achievement that would be for him. We know we want this team to make a mark in Europe, but trebles are unique. There's a reason there hasn't been a lot of them. Those last 8 years where we've had 4 and we're on track for a 5th. Those are not the norm. These years are the exception. So I really hope this team can go on and do it after the season that they've had. Chris, my reflections on watching some of the highlights back for the game, this happens so often in these fixtures. See, when you're in the stadium, the tension's unbelievable. And when Rangers are in the ascendancy in the second half, you sometimes feel like you're clinging on. But it's just the nerves. And when you go back and watch parts of the game without those nerves because you know the outcome, it looks really different. The spell in the second half where obviously they come out first 5 minutes and they have that sort of goal line scrimmash where I think Morelos actually fouls Carter Vickers, and you think, I couldn't even see from where I was sitting what happened. I thought we just got away with one there, but Carter Vickers actually has a brilliant intervention. And then he's injured, but he gets back up and then clears the next cross. But the 3 Rangers players are offside and when the first cross comes in. So technically that wouldn't have came to anything, because if the ball ended up in the net, it'd have been disallowed for offside. And then obviously you've mentioned it already. Sakala misses the open goal after Tavernier hits the post with a shot for the edge of the box. See, aside from that, Rangers didn't really create very much at all. Sakala had a header for the edge of the box that Hart could have caught with his eyes shut. Arfield hits one over the bar late on. But for all they had the ball, they didn't really create much. It wasn't glaring miss after glaring miss. And I think you're right to make the comparison with the game at Ibrox last April. Kenny made that one as well, where in the second half there, we dealt well at crosses. The centre halves were outstanding as they were yesterday. But that was a big takeaway for me watching the highlights back. It wasn't actually as much an onslaught as it felt being there in the stadium at the time.
Like, even if you just reflect back on other games in recent memory, right? The 3-2 game being the most recent. Sure, Rangers scored 2 goals. A world-class free kick from Tavernier. I'll give him that. Brilliant. And a header because we switched off at the back. But when was the last time you can honestly remember Rangers carving us open, getting to the byline and beating us? It might actually have been in that same 2-1 game, right? Where Kent gets out to the byline and squares it. And Aaron Ramsey scored that goal, because it's been a long time. And maybe going back to the Cup semi-final last year, which was the last time that Rangers actually beat us. They don't carve us open because we're so defensively sound in an offensive system. It's remarkable, right? Because the way that Ange sets the team up to press and counter press, it allows you to also defend from the front through to the back. Like, and I noticed one of the comments there, like Maeda's work rate yesterday in the first half was just unbelievable. And I understand that sometimes you need 10 crosses from him for one to be absolutely amazing. But like you guys said yesterday, that was on a 5 pence yesterday, that cross. Like, I could have scored that header, with all due respect, because, I mean, it is in a place where, and Tavernier's defending is absolutely shocking. Even if the rest of the Rangers players on the outside of the box and the ones closest to the loose ball switch off, he looks 3 times and he still loses them. And Jota just brilliant header. As long as you hit the net, that's a goal. Al McGregor had absolutely no chance. But
sorry, Chris, just on that, seeing the Rangers defending at the goal, obviously there's 3 players around the ball, Raskin, Barisic and Kent, who all stop. By the way, it's a foul, right? It's a foul. The referee just doesn't give a foul. And instead of punishing Celtic by not giving the foul, it ends up coming back to bite Rangers, ironically. But the 3 of them, just Barisic and Raskin just stop. Kent runs away because he thinks they're going to start an attack when they don't even have possession of the ball. But Goldson and Tavernier can see that they've all switched off. And I think initially when the mistake happens, just after the foul happens, Tavernier knows that Jota is there because his body position is like where he can see Jota. But then he gradually turns inside, and by the time Maida's got the ball to swing the cross in, he's lost him. He's got absolutely no idea where Jota is. And it's as good a cross as Maeda will ever put in, because, as you say, Jota just can't miss, but also Jota's movement. Jota's alive. And I think that, how often do you see the opposite winger being in at the back post in this Celtic team to score a goal? We've lavished praise on Abada for having that knack to come in at the back post and score, and we've seen it often in this fixture. But to see Jota do that as well, I think that's something he's really added to his game, and it's probably because of the coaching under Ange Postecoglou since he's arrived at Celtic, because he is flamboyant, he's a brilliant dribbler, but getting in at the back post, timing runs and getting on the score sheet and adding goals is something I think he's really improved in since he arrived at the club in loan last summer. But I mean, it's astounding that it's like 2 different periods of switching off for Rangers. It's the 3 players around the ball, but then everybody else that's watched that develop in terms of Goldson and Tavernier, I mean, it's embarrassing to their point of view.
It is, but one thing I'll say, Paul, is that these goals that we score by capitalizing on other teams' mistakes, not just Rangers, it's not by accident, because that is the way that Ange demands, and I mean demands, that you are switched on all the time, every second of every game and every second of every day in training. You guys, I think, mentioned this. He demands just as much intensity in training as he does for the games, because guess what? The more you practice something, the more automatic it becomes. And that is what we are seeing playing out in games where there really isn't maybe a lot to you separate the teams. It will either be a moment of brilliance or a mistake. And yesterday, that goal was both. It was both, exactly, right? Maeda's like, ooh, whistle's not gone. Every young footballer playing nowadays coming up through the ranks knows you play to the whistle. He was alive, and his body position, to your point, to whip that ball in and just place it in the absolute perfect spot for your winger to come in from the blind side and just be in the perfect spot. It's not by accident. It's by design, and it's by the tactical setup and the way that we play that it keeps happening. And it will keep happening because for all Rangers fans thinking that they're closer and closer, it doesn't matter. If you can't win these games, we all know as fans on this great divide that the result is all that matters. That's it. Because during the COVID season, which I know you hate, Paul, we couldn't beat them. We were a terrible football team. We had an awful season, and they won. Even times when we were reasonable, they still beat us. But guess what? Over the last 20 years or 23 years, we have a remarkable record.
See, just to come back to the whole "we never stop" thing. I know it's a cliche, but again, with this goal for yesterday, people have put the Ange Postecoglou training audio for that one of the first sessions when that whole philosophy came across to us, and it's been put over numerous goals. And the most impressive thing about it is there's not a football team anywhere that goes out with the intention of switching off when the ball goes dead, right? They all want to be alive. They all probably want to play quickly and be switched on like every single second. But to actually get it, to actually implement it into a team and for them to embody it to a T, that's the most impressive thing about it, because it's easy to preach it and it's easy to talk about it, but this Celtic team actually do it. They do it all the time, every single game, no matter the circumstances, and that's why we've had so many of these goals that you can just lift that Ange Postecoglou training audio, put it over it, and it's almost like he's commentating on the thing that's happening. That's how impressive it is that he's implemented it mentally in the players. The mentality of this group, everybody involved in it, is to play to that mantra, regardless of how cringy you think it might be when people keep talking about it. But it's paid dividends for us time and time again. And as you say, if we keep enacting it like that, it'll pay dividends again and again.
100%. I couldn't have said it better, Paul. And look, I'm seeing lots of comments, from the fans watching. Yes, progression in Europe, of course. That's what we all want. But at the end of the day, domestically, you still want to dominate. You still want to win more than your rivals. And I think, another transfer window and the learnings that I think the core players, if they're all still here next season, will have taken from that first Champions League campaign. Because I think as well as we played, there was a naivety of having never been in that situation before, right? And we all know Ange will make the necessary adjustments, either in the squad or in the in-game management of those games. And I do not doubt for 1 second he can bring us a little more success. I'm not saying what that's going to look like, but if each year we are seeing incremental gains in Europe as fans, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll get stronger. We'll get stronger in the summer, no doubt about it. Who knows what will happen in terms of outgoings, but you'd expect us to invest again. And the recruitment so far, as we keep talking about, has been absolutely exceptional. So that is the challenge for us. Can we add players, as Kenny said yesterday in the post-match pint? Can we add players, but be selective and get the view quality we need to try and take us up a level in Europe to make the impact that we want this Celtic team to make? Chris, there was a few kind of ridiculous moments in the game yesterday that I don't think we really covered in the post-match pint. We did spend a lot of time in the last debrief talking about refereeing decisions. There wasn't too many yesterday, I don't think, apart from obviously the second yellow card for Barisic's dive. I think he also missed a Barisic's handball really early on in the game when it bounced over his head. Jota had got the other side of him and he just slapped it out the pitch. And that wasn't a yellow card either. But John Lundstrom went absolutely right through Kyogo 2 minutes in, predictably, as he did in the 4-0 game. But the wee man got right back up. It didn't really bother him at all. One of the brilliant things I seen watching the game back, I forgot this. This is the thing that led to Kyogo's shot that just went wide, is Starfelt getting on a loose ball, intercepting it, pulling it to Kyogo, and then he absolutely floored John Lundstrom. It was amazing. It was one of the best things I took for the highlights because I'd totally forgot about it live at the game. And obviously Todd Cantwell, who was, I see on the follow threads that people have been putting up that they want him to be the Rangers captain and stuff because he'd done a few fist pumps and denied Rio Hatate a bottle of water. They didn't really cover too much. That every time he got in a meaningful position with the ball, he absolutely wasted it and had no end product. But that must be where the bar is at for Rangers now.
Yeah, he's a world beater, apparently. Also a TikTok professional, apparently. And pumping his fists when he wins a tackle or it goes for a throw in. I can't remember.
His own goal line. His own goal line, didn't it? His own goal line.
I was like, you know what? We let our talking be done on the pitch. And that's another thing that I believe our manager has over theirs and their players and their fans is he's just 100% all class. And I just absolutely love that man and what he's done. But Cantwell, I don't even want to give him any airtime, Paul, because he's just not worth it. He is a shadow of our midfield players. And he wouldn't even be in the Celtic B team, let alone our first team. So he can just go take a long walk off a short cliff, and let's move on to the next topic.
Aye, he's had a great start. I mean, after the 3-2 game, he was saying that we never won it, and Rangers lost it. I think it's a wee bit of tragic playing to the gallery, but as I say, it seems to be lapped up. Anyway, Chris, let's get to player ratings, and the audience can get involved. I've seen a few comments coming in already about Joe Hart, who I think yesterday did put in a really commanding performance. Kenny covered it well in the post-match pint. I thought he came for crosses. He was punching them clear. He was brave when he had to be brave. He was also brilliant coming off his line in the first half as well, like constantly alert. Had to sort of sweep up a few times because Rangers were going direct, but he was always switched on. I thought it was a really good assured performance for Joe Hart yesterday. If I was to give him a rating, he didn't have too many saves to make really in the game, but I think solid 7.5.
Yeah, I had him as an 8 out of 10. Paul, just slightly more than you. He made a really smart save low down to his right in the second half.
Yeah.
And just
for Arfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things I think we've been asking of him as a set of supporters is at times maybe to be a bit more commanding in his box. And I felt like that was there in spades yesterday. And look, we brought him into the club at a time where we really lacked leadership, right? And he's got spades and spades of experience. And as a result, that experience brings a level of leadership and calm back there. And it was perfect for the first year. And him and Starfelt and Carter Vickers, you can see clearly have an excellent relationship. And you need that in your kind of main spine of your team. So for me, I had him as an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. Alistair Johnston at right back. I was gutted when he went off. Absolutely gutted. He's just so game into. He just loves it. Like he's absolutely born to play in a fixture like this. You can just tell he relishes it. And I thought, I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about how well he defended yesterday that his opposite number got hooked at half time because he couldn't get a touch. Ryan Kent could not get a touch. He was absolutely all over him. And as I say, I covered it in the post-match pint, but that one where the ball went up to him and Ryan Kent's took a touch and Johnson's nicked it off him. I think he even started a Celtic attack by nicking it off him and just like bars them over. Absolutely wee-guyed him. I thought Johnston was really, really good. Obviously, he comes off at 55 minutes, so you can't give him a 9 or a 10 out of 10, but I thought he was strong. And just for that intensity that he brought in the first half, I think I'd probably go 8 for Alistair Johnston.
That's exactly where I would have been, and I'd be willing to bet that if he had played the full 90 minutes, he probably ends up being man of the match. Just again, his intensity, and he gets us as a club, and he's just the type of player that us as fans absolutely love. He does his talking on the pitch. I'll say it again. Like, he plays with such an intensity, but almost like a swagger that I know I'm a really good right back. And there was a moment in the first half where there was a 2-on-1 on the outside, and just this decision making of which player to go to break it up, and it ended up being a corner for Rangers. And then that play that you were talking about, and I think it was in the second half, he played this unbelievable ball. Actually, in the first half, sorry. It was in the first half where he broke up the play and he played an unbelievable ball around Barisic. I can't remember who was running onto it. It may well have been Jota. It's just a memory from the game. But it's just like, he's just such a gamer. Absolutely love him. And I think we've all said it, but for me, I don't miss Juranovic at all. And that is a huge compliment to AJ, right? Loose stick on steroids.
He's been incredible. I just hope that's not a bad one. I mean, he should probably get a 10 out of 10 for celebrating with the crutches in there, to be honest. But I just think, I mean, maybe because we're very close to the end of the season, as the title of the video says, we only need the 2 wins to seal the treble. Maybe he's got time to recover, but I just hope it's not a bad one, because he's been absolutely brilliant since he's arrived at the club. Right, centre halves, Cameron Carter-Vickers, what an absolute colossal warrior. Putting his body in the line, first of all, to play injured. I absolutely loved Postecoglou's comment after. Did you see when he said, I'd have maybe liked to see him get it sorted earlier, but he wanted to play today, and I'm scared of him, so I just let him play. Thought that was brilliant. He was just unbelievable. He's so unshakable. Like, physically, Morelos, for all he's a laughing stock, the physical presence is the thing that he's got, but he just can't get any change out of Carter-Vickers. You can't do it. He's incredible, absolutely incredible. I'll probably say 9.5 for the big man.
Yeah, he'll be carrying Alfredo to the hospital in his back pocket, because that's where Morelos has been for the better part of the last 2 seasons. CCV is just unbelievable, and as long as we have him, we can feel extremely fortunate. And I know with the add-ons, we're talking it's around 10 million. But just worth every single penny that we paid for him. And honestly, the clearance he made yesterday with a really dangerous ball was absolutely brilliant. And then the other sequence you were talking about, he got clattered, managed to get back up and still clears his lines. Yeah, I could almost give him a 10, but I'm happy to go 9.5, and he was just immense yesterday.
He was incredible. He's been incredible all season, and we'll maybe wrap up with your thoughts on Player of the Year, because there's so many candidates for it, but he's certainly one of them. You can get involved with player ratings. You just need to comment in the live chat box below. We'll try and pick some out as we go through. You do need to be subscribed to comment though, so you just need to click the red button below. Starfelt alongside him, tremendous. I just mentioned him flattening John Lundstrom, which he was well due, but I just think the two of them together are, in terms of the art of defending and the desire to defend and keep the ball at the net, the two of them are absolutely tremendous. Defending the box in terms of crosses as well. We've already drawn the comparisons with that game at Ibrox last season, but I just thought everything that came in the box they dealt with. And Starfelt I thought excellent as well. I'd probably say 8.5 at least for Starfelt.
Yeah, I had Starfelt as a 9 out of 10 yesterday, only just marginally behind, Cameron. I just thought he was just amazing. And yeah, loved it when he halved that Scouser. That was fantastic just to see him go, right, just have it. Just love it. I just love it. And he's really, really grown on me. And I think he's starting to turn some Celtic fans that still doubt his ability. But the two of them are just unbelievable together. It's just remarkable, the run when they've been in the starting lineup together. It's amazing. We should feel very, very fortunate.
Yeah, the two of them being incredible, and still undefeated in the league, and games have started together, been playing together for the best part of 2 years.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely incredible. Greg Taylor, I thought he put in a great shift. I really did think, not anything like the blow you away outstanding, but I thought he was strong. Got up and down, came inside and into midfield as he does in this team. But I thought it was a solid showing for Taylor. I think solid 7 for Taylor.
Yeah, I had Taylor at a 7 out of 10 as well, Paul. Can't really argue with you there. He didn't have the same impact offensively. Like, for example, the cross he puts in the League Cup final, yeah. For Kyogo's goal, which was missed by Maeda at the front post. But he puts in an excellent shift. And if you talk about he'd be one of those players that would be in the conversation for Player of the Year. He has been incredible. And even if he's not Player of the Year, he is by far the most improved Celtic player under Ange Postecoglou. That is an award I would give him hands down.
Aye, by a mile. In midfield, Callum McGregor, I think it was a wee bit of a mixed bag for Callum McGregor. I think he tired in the game. I said in the post-match pint yesterday, I thought at times in the second half we were a wee bit caught between pressing and like sitting in a shape to sort of contain when Rangers were having their period. But there was a late on he gave away a really poor pass in the middle of the pitch that let Rangers counter-attack, and I think he actually won it back and then gave it away again. So I just think he tired in the game, the captain. I'll go 7. I think he's had much better games. For example, I think the 3-2 against Celtic Park, he was immense. But I think just 7 for McGregor.
Yeah, he got caught in possession a couple of times as well, which is very, very unlike him. In fact, even in the game against Kilmarnock, and I know we have strolled that game, but he gets caught in possession as well. But that is going to happen from time to time, and no footballer in British football has played more minutes than he has in the last, I don't know what the year span is, but he's just remarkable. And you know what? It's all the other intangibles as the club captain that really sets him aside. And he's just done a remarkable job. And yes, it wasn't his most assured or accomplished performance yesterday, but still good enough. And just on all the other intangibles, like I said, really makes him a valuable player.
Aye, no, he's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Rio Hatate was back in. I think it was just, to me, I don't think he was terrible. I think he took time to adapt to the game. I think he actually got better in the 10-15 minutes that he played in the second half than he was in the first. It just felt to me a wee bit like he was playing within himself. Whether that's through a lack of sharpness or maybe he's not really 100% right yet. He was out for 5 weeks after all, and I think it was his hamstring. So whether he just didn't have the confidence in his hamstring to be playing at full pelt, I don't know. But there was a couple of times where I thought, he's brilliant at eliminating his opposite number in midfield, like drifting past players and taking them out of the game. But he didn't really try and do that yesterday. I thought he went quite safe with his passing in the first half. So I'll say a 6 for Rio, but it's to be expected when you've been out for that period of time. You kind of just come in off the back of a hamstring injury and hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's the only reason I would give him. I had him as a 5.5, not because he isn't an amazing player. It's just you could clearly see he was not, let's say, match fit, and he wasn't Hatate fit, right? We've seen what he can do when he's at 100%. Exhibit A is the League Cup final, where you're right, that first goal, he just absolutely drifts by, gives it to Moy. Moy plays a brilliant ball to Taylor, goal. Second goal, Moy to Hatate, Hatate to Kyogo, goal, right? That's where in big games you want your top players to show up. And I know you guys mentioned this yesterday, but I will just echo it. That pass he had against Real Madrid is the best pass I think I've ever seen from a Celtic midfielder, ever. That's when you just sat back and went, wow, we have a player here. And the fact that he's so young, he's 24 or 25 years old. It's just like, if we can hold on to him for a few more years, we're going to be so lucky.
Aye, I think we'll be doing well to get a few years. Callum's desperate to sell him. Yesterday, can't wait to get rid of him. But no, I think he just needs some games to get back up to speed. His technical ability as you've touched on there, is incredible, and I think there's development in him as well. Matt O'Reilly next in midfield, he was good. I thought Matt O'Reilly was good. I thought there was bite in his tackles. He was getting about the pitch. I think he's quietly getting back to the sort of form we associated with him earlier this season and back into last season.
Yeah, totally agree. And Kenny said it best a few weeks ago. Form is temporary, right? Class is permanent, and now we're starting to see him really rounding out into the levels that we've been privileged to watch for such a young player. And that's the other thing. Like, he is even younger than Hatate. And I think a lot of people forget that and where he's come from. And I just think his ceiling is just so much higher as a footballer. And I thought he was really solid yesterday, and I would give him a 7.5 for me. I really like O'Reilly's game in the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't give him a rating there. I think I'll go 8. I'll go 8 for O'Reilly. Right hand side, I think Jota started on the right hand side, and then it was just as he switched from Maeda that we got the goal. I mean, brilliant, as I touched on when we were describing the goal. Brilliant to be alive to time the movement, and then it's an easy header. I think other than that, he wasn't quite. I mean, we weren't dominant enough in the second half. We didn't get him enough of the ball in the second half for him to do damage. So I think I'd probably go 8 for Jota. I mean, he gets the winning goal, and he's another one that's been incredible all season, and probably also in with a decent shout for Player of the Year. But 8 for Jota.
Yep, I'll go with that, Paul. And what I will say is that Jota is starting to become not the same player. So don't get me confused, but he's becoming the new kind of Alan Thompson of his era. Just has a habit of scoring against Rangers, right? And like at the end of the day, he's now got more goals in Celtic Rangers games than Morelos does. Morelos has played in 25 games and has 3 goals. And that's just not good enough.
More than Kent as well.
Yeah, 100%. And soon you'll probably have more than them combined the way he's going. I just thought that movement for that goal yesterday, as we mentioned off the top of the show, was just absolutely fantastic, Paul. And yeah, solid 8 out of 10 for Jota. And just what a fantastic player. And so feel very fortunate that we whipped him up for 6 million, because he's worth a lot more than that.
Aye, he's been brilliant. Dyson Maeda, left-hand side, does the damage for the right-hand side. You talked about his work rate, and Ange also praised him for his work rate, particularly in the first half. I mean, we know that he's incredible in terms of the work that he puts in. I keep saying that he's the most selfless player that I've ever seen in a Celtic shirt. But the cross is the match-winning moment. And obviously, he has it's the two sides of Dyson Maeda, because he has one the second half, which is a damn sight easier than the one he puts on Jota's head. He's just got to play a square 30-yard ball along the ground for Kyogo, who's bursting a gut to get into the centre of the box, and he hits it at the pitch. But I think for the match winning moment alone, and the graft that he put in, I've got 9 for Dyson.
He is absolutely wholeheartedly the most selfless player I've ever seen. Like, his commitment to press, harry, rush players is just unbelievable. And, you know, that's a moment of brilliance when, like we said earlier, Rangers switch off and Dyson is alive to it. And that delivery was just absolutely on a 10 pence and just made the goal. And, you know, I could see why Ange had him before and wanted to bring him here, because, you know, when you build a successful team in any sport, you need players that are willing to do a variety of roles. Not everyone can have top end and be flashy like your Jotas, or be silky smooth like Tom Rogic was, or be a lethal goal scorer, you know, like we've had over the years in other strikers. You need players that are willing to work and are grafters. And Dyson does have skill, don't get me wrong, but what he brings in these games is just why he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet, and it is invaluable. So I'll give Dyson a 9.5. I just thought, just for that first half alone, he deserves that.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Last one, in terms of starting 11, Kyogo didn't get certainly not the service that he did in the cup final or in the 3-2 game. But I thought, again, just worked his socks off, ran himself into the ground, didn't let Rangers rough him up even though they tried. I thought he was good. He was really good. Again, similar to Jota, where in the second half we don't have enough of the ball really to get him involved in the areas that he should be. But I think there was a couple of times where he was in good space and maybe didn't get the ball. I think probably a solid 7 for Kyogo was fair.
Yep, I give Kyogo a 7.5. Again, more for his work rate than anything else. And again, his willingness because if Dyson Maeda is Celtic's most selfless player as 1A, Kyogo is like 1B.
Yeah.
Because how many times does he make runs but they don't find him? He never complains. He has a first-class attitude. And Ali McCoy said this in the overlap. There is a guy who absolutely loves to score goals, loves to play football, and you can see why, as Celtic fans, we've fallen in love with Kyogo, and why also he's right up there on the first ballot for Player of the Year.
Yeah, right, we'll do the subs together because I don't want to keep you too much longer. We're already at 40 minutes. This is absolutely flown in, by the way. So Ralston, who, I mean, somebody corrected me earlier on, I forget who it was in the comments. He did play against Hearts on March the 8th. Callum mentioned that yesterday. But again, I just forgot. I think that game is maybe the only start that he's had in the last 3 or 4 months. I thought he was really good, considering the circumstances. Because as I say, when Johnson goes off, you are panicking a wee bit because he's been so good since he came in. So I'll go 7.5 for Ralston. Iwata, I thought was decent. 7 for him. I thought Moy, I'll give him 8 for a sub appearance because I thought he did help us. He put himself about. He did get his foot on the ball. There's a couple of times where late in the game we had to just get up the pitch with it, and he stayed calm and linked it up. I thought Moy was good, so we'll go 8 for him. We'll go 6 because he was the last. He was the last sub, didn't really get too much. Tried to hold it up a couple of occasions, but that just wasn't on long enough to really fully judge his performance. So we'll go 6 for O.
Yeah, can't really disagree too much with that, Paul. I would have gone 6 for O. I thought Moy a 7.5, Awa probably a 6.5 or a 7, but I thought Ralston to come on at the 55-minute mark in a game that was really tight. And Rangers had just had that moment in the game where they hit the post and Sakala missed. To have the engine he did for that, because it was 5 minutes of injury time. So a good 40 minutes having not really played in 5 weeks. Obviously training, yes, but he's not long come back from an injury. So I love Tony Ralston. I think, again, if you're talking about most improved Celtic players after Greg Taylor, he's next on the list.
Yes, he absolutely is. Right, Chris, to round us off, I spoke to the guys yesterday about Player of the Year. So many candidates, so many outstanding individual performances through the season. Who is it for you?
Well, Paul, you'll be really happy with this because it's your boy. It's Kyogo for me. And I'll tell you why. And I don't want to discount Cameron Carter-Vickers, incredible back there. Greg Taylor's had a tremendous season. Hatate at times has been absolutely brilliant. But in our prediction video at the start of the year, I said Kyogo will score 35 goals in all competitions. He's sitting at 29 with 6 games to go. And I told you a few weeks ago, we were definitely getting all of the games that was the number at that count when we did the day after debrief from the Celtic Rangers game at Celtic Park. Kyogo, for me, when you score 29 goals, but also the goals in the last 6 to 8 weeks have all been massive goals in the context of the season. The 2-2 game, Ibrox, when he scores his first goal in a derby, and then he scores 2 in the cup final for the second year running, and then he scores 2 at Celtic Park. Like, for me, as a Celtic player, you're always going to be judged, especially as a Celtic striker, you'll always be judged on how do you do against Rangers and how do you do in the biggest moments where you may only have a handful of chances. It's also his work rate off the ball, his intelligence as a footballer, and he's just endeared himself to the Celtic fans. And I just absolutely love everything about him. So for me, he has to be Player of the Year. And I can't see it being anybody else. And I believe I did pick him to be Player of the Year as well, along with top goal scorer and how many goals he would score. And he might not make 35 because I doubt he plays every game in the running, but he's going to get close.
Aye, I mean, listen, the viewers don't need to hear me wax lyrical about him any more than I already have. He is my player of the year, but so many honourable mentions for the rest of the guys that are on the short list. Carter Vickers, Jota, Hatate, they've all been incredible. We've talked about Taylor, Starfelt as well, as Callum mentioned yesterday. So many consistent performers, and just everybody in this squad doing their job, and so committed to the cause, and that is because of the leader. It's because Ange Postecoglou and everything that he's instilled in these players. And Chris, we're only 2 wins away from a treble. To round us off, final reflections on yesterday, and how are you looking forward to the final 5 or 6 games this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely delighted to get to another final. And obviously, I'm not going to take Inverness for granted. You know, yeah, we've got some demons as a football club with them in our rear view mirror, but that's firmly where they are. They're in our rear view mirror. And if we turn up on the day and really show what we've got, we're going to add to the history of this amazing football club. And in case there's any Rangers fans watching, if you're in any doubt about who's been the most dominant force, I'll leave you with this as my closing thought. Since 2000-2001, there have been 46 domestic trophies up for grabs. Celtic have won 37. And I'm predicating this that we're going to win the Scottish Cup, right? So if we do, that means we've won 80% of available trophies, which means every 4 out of 5 we are winning. In the same time frame, and it's no my fault, the Rangers Football Club died in 2012, but of the available 46, they've won 17. That's a win percentage of 36%. So mind the gap. Enjoy your week, folks, and hail, hail.
There you go. Can't think of a better way to finish it than that. Thank you for joining us. Like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you at the weekend for the build-up to that game at Tynecastle. Thank you.